An Olympic athlete stands at the peak of her sport. She has dedicated her entire adult life to her craft, dreaming of this moment. But now here she is. Moments from boarding the plane that will take her to the Olympic trials, where she has a legitimate shot at making the team and possibly even winning a medal. Yet as she steps into the plane, she knows in her heart she is just abandoned a dream far bigger than any goal she could have won. This is her story. And if I'm honest, it's also mine. Maybe you're ready enough by the universe to make the impossible leap from the life you're reliving into the life you're meant to be living. In them, she would cross the finish line, except instead of the cheering crowd, she would hear a voice that seemed to come from the universe itself saying, "Tana on. You won your last race." Terrified, she would wake up in a cold sweat, convinced that there was some kind of dark omen in her dreams. Her entire identity was wrapped up in her sport, and the thought of giving it all up terrified her. Not only that, but the people around her, especially her family, had sacrificed just as much. They'd uprooted their lives to follow her dream. How could she explain what was happening? How could she make them understand that she had to let go of the life they'd all worked so hard for? The truth was, she couldn't. All she could do was trust that everything was going to be okay. It was here, in the quiet solitude, that she finally heard the voice loud and clear. You have nothing to fear. I have been preparing you for this your entire life. She realized that her athletic training hadn't been preparing her for medals and trophies. It was preparing her for miracles. She had spent years honing her body and mind to push past perceived limitations and achieve what others believed was impossible. But what if that same strength could be used for something even greater? Something that transcended the boundaries of sports and impacted the world in profound ways? What voices have you silenced because they sounded too crazy or too risky to pursue? And ask yourself. What dreams have you pushed aside for the sake of practicality or safety? Are you listening to the whispers of your soul, or are you letting fear hold you back? Because the universe has a way of conspiring in favor of those who dare to believe in something greater than themselves. All you have to do is take the first step and watch what unfolds before your very eyes. Are you ready to dive deep into the depths of your soul and uncover the treasures that await you there? Because the truth is, your greatest purpose might lie hidden beneath the surface of your everyday reality, waiting for you to dive in and explore its best potential. It's time to turn on and see what lies ahead. But what exactly did that mean? Where was she being led? How could she possibly make sense of the cryptic message she'd received? What voices have you silenced because they sounded too crazy or too risky to pursue? If you're willing to dive into the unknown and embrace the magic that awaits you there, then I invite you to join me on this incredible journey of self-discovery and transformation. Together, we can uncover the hidden depths of our souls and bring our dreams to life. Are you ready to take the leap of faith? Are you ready to trust that the universe has something incredible planned for you? If so, then let this be your sign to take action. Let this be your reminder that you are capable of achieving miracles. Let this be your call to adventure, urging you to embrace the unknown and discover the magic that awaits you there. So my question for you today is this: what dreams have you put aside for the sake of practicality or safety? And move forward with the next step that the universe laid before her. So dreams she dismissed as mere fantasies were actually prophetic downloads from the universe, guiding her towards her true calling. The restlessness she felt in her soul was nothing more than divine discontent, a sign that she was meant for more than what she had already achieved. Opportunities and synchronicities aligned perfectly to guide her towards her true purpose. She discovered a strength within herself that she never knew existed, a resilience born out of the ashes of her former life. And when she leaned into it, the universe conspired to support her every step of the way. And the idea of letting them all down was unbearable. It was about discovering the strength that lay dormant within her soul. It was about proving to herself that she was capable of achieving miracles. It was about showing the world that with a little faith and a whole lot of courage, anything is possible. Each time this happened, she'd shake off the feeling and tell herself that it was just a dream, nothing more. This is your last race, it said. It's time to turn on and see what else is waiting for you. With trembling hands, she reached for her phone to book a flight home. As she explained her decision to her coach, she could hear a disbelief in his voice. I had always known she was special, that she had the potential to become a legend in their sport. To think that she would throw it all away at the last minute was simply unthinkable. But as she boarded the plane, she knew in her heart that she had no other choice. Something far bigger than her was calling, and she could no longer ignore its summons. But as the days went by, the dreams kept coming back, becoming more intense and more urgent, until they consumed her thoughts day and night. That's exactly what happened to the young woman, sitting across from me. She didn't know it at the time, but she was receiving prophetic downloads from the universe we pour our hearts and souls into. Our work, our relationships, and our goals, and when they start to slip away, it feels like we're losing a part of ourselves. But what if this is actually a good thing? What if what we're letting go of is actually paving the way for something even greater to emerge? No matter how hard she worked or how many victories she achieved, there was a nagging feeling in her heart that told her something wasn't right. She couldn't put her finger on it, but deep down, she knew that the life she was living wasn't the one she was supposed to be living. It was as if the universe was trying to tell her something. But she was too afraid to listen. Disguised as dreams so vivid and powerful that if she had woken up and taken them seriously, her life would have changed in an instant. See, she'd always been athletic, excelling at every sport she tried. But once she discovered track, she knew she'd found her passion. She worked tirelessly, honing her craft and pushing herself further than anyone thought possible. Now she was on the verge of realizing her lifelong dream of competing in the Olympics. And on the surface, that looked like pure success. But secretly, a part of her knew that there was more waiting on the other side of that finish line. More than she could ever accomplish alone. As I write this, I can't help but feel that same pull on my spirit. I poured my heart and soul into this book, and now I must let it go and release it out into the world. In doing so, I am giving up something I have spent years building. It feels terrifyingly impossible to abandon the work and trust that something greater is waiting on the other side. But I know if I don't do this, I'll never truly be free to chase the dream that keeps calling to me from afar. And that's when I remember her. The Olympic hopeful who gave up everything to follow an insistent voice inside her heart. She left behind the only life she'd ever known, the cheers of the crowds, the glory of competition, and the adulation of millions of fans. Deep down inside, there is a part of you that feels like you were created for something more than the achievements and the accolades you've already received. You're successful by every measure. People admire you, respect you, and envy the life you've built. But every time you look around at what you've accomplished, a strange restlessness is within your soul. It's not your circumstances, because on paper they are perfect. It's not your relationships, because they are loving and supportive. It's not even your work, because it fulfills you intellectually and financially. So then why does a tiny voice inside of you keep whispering that there is something else waiting just beyond the horizon? What she didn't know was that her journey was about to take her far beyond anything she could have imagined, far beyond the confines of the trek. And when she left, she discovered powers within herself she never knew existed. She experienced a depth of joy and fulfillment she could not have won 1,000 races. Her story changed the world in ways she couldn't have dreamed. And as I sit here about to send this book into the universe, I can't help but wonder, am I really doing the same? The thing is, you probably have a dream like this too. Well, maybe it's your calling. You see, she started having these dreams long before she actually qualified for the trials. And it wasn't just the dreams. There was something else, an inexplicable restlessness that grew stronger with each passing day. You see, she had everything to lose. Years of blood, sweat, and tears had led up to this moment. She was in peak physical condition. One evening, as she sat alone in her room, wrestling with these thoughts, the voice spoke to her again, clear and more insistent than ever. When she leaned up, her family was waiting for her. Their faces edged with confusion and joy. You see, the thing is, she was experiencing what many refer to as the death of the ego. A painful process of releasing the identity that we've tied to our accomplishments and accolades. Over the next few weeks, she withdrew from the world as she knew it, cutting off contact with her old life and throwing herself into a deep self-discovery process. But as she continued to listen, more pieces of the puzzle started falling into place, and then it hit her like a bolt from the blue. As she stepped onto this new path, doors began opening all around her. Now, years later, looking back on her journey, she realizes that the leap she took all those years ago wasn't just about finding her true calling. So my question for you today is this: what dreams have you put aside for the sake of practicality or safety? If you're brave enough to follow your deepest desires, then I encourage you to take a big deep breath, close your eyes. So my question for you today is this: what dreams have you put aside for the sake of practicality or safety?